Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdaye Namaha.
Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabhaye Namaha.
Anantananda Krishnaya Jagat
Ananta
Mangalamurtaye
Anantananda
Anantananda
Krishnaya
Krishnaya
Mangalamurtaye.
Mangalamurtaye.
We finished the 6th verse in the last class. It's like 7th verse.
You have to start 7th verse.
In the previous verses, we had looked at how the author is arguing about the nature of the self. The Swarupa, Satchidananda Swarupa is my Swarupa. That Swarupa is Nityam in both cases, all-pervading in both cases. And now he takes up another perspective that might come from a Purupakshi. How do you say you are without a second? How do you say Advayam? And the arguments in this continue along the lines of the arguments we saw earlier. What are the arguments? What is Sat has to be Chit. What is Chit has to be Sat. You cannot have anything existing if it is not known or cannot be known by anybody at any point of time. Then it cannot have existence. This known, being known or being knowable is because of Chaitanya, Chit. Therefore, Sat is Chit and Chit is Sat. It's like a person. Oh, it reminds me. Today only happened that I was expecting a deposit in the account, which normally comes in around 8th or 9th. And I couldn't find it in the bank account. So I didn't know about this. Now, if the sender also doesn't know, the bank also doesn't know, obviously it doesn't exist. Correct? If nobody knows and is not knowable, then it doesn't exist. I can imagine anything. I can imagine I am the world's tennis champion. I can imagine I'm playing Federer and beating him 6-love, 6-love. But who knows about it? I don't know. Federer doesn't know. The Wimbledon organizers don't know. And they will never know. So it is non-existent. No object can exist unless it is Chit. Sometimes, somewhere it should exist. It should know. Dodo is a good example. You know what a dodo is. And a bird which used to exist in Mauritius, and human greed, I suppose, they completely eliminated the bird. I think cut it up and ate all of them, so nothing left. But the existence of the bird is known. Somewhere, somebody at some time knew about it. So you can say it exists, or in this case, existed. Or you say, take, let us say, an example of an undiscovered planet. Now, I don't know, you don't know, the scientists don't know, cosmologists don't know that it exists. But if it has to exist, somebody, sometime will know in the future. Without that, it cannot have existence. So that is something we've been discussing the last verse also, that Sat has to be Chit and Chit has to be Sat. The kind of arguments that you saw there already, which are pretty fine arguments, and which we have to think a lot about. These are, remember, post-Mananam analysis. And therefore, they have to be really looked into very carefully. This same argument continues to show Advayam. And in this verse, which you're just reading, Nahi bhana dhrite satyam narte bhanam chito chitah. Chit sambandho pinadhyasat rite tena aham advayah. Very interesting. Sambandha is talking about. In Tarka Shastra, what is called, or often referred to as Indian logic, Sambandha is defined. Different types of Sambandha are defined. Samyoga, Samavaya, like that, many Sambandha are defined. Vishayi Vishaya Sambandha, Karya Karana Sambandha. The relationship between any two substances is defined there. So here he is talking about Chit Sambandha Hapi Na Adhyasat. We'll come to that. I think it will be an interesting discussion because he's talking about the Sambandha. None of those Tarka Sambandhas will fit here. Then what is the Sambandha? Between the Jagat and Atma, what is the Sambandha? Between Ghata and Mrit, pot and clay, what is the Sambandha? Between this Jagat and Atma, what is the Sambandha? Between the dream object and the dreamer, what is the Sambandha? So all that will be examined to show, I think it's interesting. I don't remember all the arguments, but it'll be interesting to read this. I will also find it interesting. Okay. Who is going to read today?
Read Swamiji.
Yes, please.
Verse 7. When we say aparichinnam Brahma, it means Brahma is not deshatah, kalatah, vastutah, parichinnam.
Parichinnam means it is limited by, contained by.
It is aparichinna vastu. It is not limited by space, time, and causality or object.
Causality.
Causality. Yeah, causality.
This limited word we have to use because we don't have any other word to use. when we say it is not limited by Desha or Kala or Vastu, what we're really saying is it is not possible for any of these to contain the Atma. Not possible for it. It's not limitable. And why is it not limitable? One way of looking at it is karyam. No karyam can limit the karanam. But there will be other arguments. But I'm just realized the word limited itself has a very limited usage. Yes, Divyansh.
Swamiji, is causality same as object?
I'm sorry?
Causality and object are the same thing?
Causality or?
Or
Same.
object.
Causality and object.
Causality is karana. No, they're not the same. These are
Yeah,
four things you talk about. Space, time, causality or object. Causality means it is the cause of, the hetu for.
Okay, so
Or
like,
object. Normally we say Desha Kala Vastu. Here Swami has also added Karanam.
so here and should be used, right?
Or object. Anyone, not limited by any one of these. The or does not refer to causality or object. It refers to time,
No.
space, causality or object.
Okay,
None
no.
of them.
No.
Yeah.
This means we have to understand that there is no Desha independent of Brahma. There is no Kala independent of Brahman. And there is no object independent of Brahman. In the sense, Mastani Sarva Bhutani, Nacha Mastani Bhutani. Both ways it is aparichinna. That means even object wise, when you look at the Jagat, it is not separate from the Vastu. There is only one Vastu, Advayam Vastu alone, Brahma. This is the meaning of Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinnam. Now, a Purvapakshi says, there is no Brahman at all for me to be Brahman. The contention is that while you say Anantam Brahma and Anantam means Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinnam, is there any object which is Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinnam?
Can you
I know.
see the illogicality of this 2-3 sentences? Contention is that while you say Anantam Brahma, and that when you say Anantam Brahma, Anantam means Deshakala Vastu Aparichinnam. He is saying, is there any object at all that you can think of which fits this definition?
There is only Atma which fits the definition.
Atma is not an object.
Not an object, yeah.
No object will fit the
No object. So it is not an object, basically, he means to say that. Tell me, there is no such Vastu. You call it Vastu. I thought this Vastu is a special Vastu, which I would like to know. Then you say it is Desha Aparichinnam. Then I thought, okay, it may be Desha Aparichinna. But maybe I will see it in time, at another time. But you say it is always there in time. It is Kala Aparichinnam. And you also say it is Vastu Aparichinnam. But such a Vastu does not exist at all. It is not an object, but still you call it an object Vastu. There is no such thing as Brahman for me to equate myself with. Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinnam Shunyam Ityartaha Tasmat Shunyah Aham Asmi is what I will end up concluding. Oh, this is Shunyavada Purvapakshi, I think. By Shunyam Aham, have I gained Mukti? Mukti from what? From the conclusion that I am somebody. So, I am somebody, even that conclusion is gone. I become Shunya. Is that what you say? That I am zero? What a conclusion. I do not want to accept this because at least now Aham Asmi, I am, and I do not want to become Shunya zero after all this study. There is no such thing as Shunya, therefore there is no such thing as Brahman. So this entirely is Purvapakshi's
Correct.
questioning.
All these Purvapakshis arguments, this is actually Shunyavadi.
Nevadi.
One of the Buddhist texts which talks about Shunya. Here, the way he's arguing, it can be busted very easily. If you say, I am shunyam, I am nothing, the question immediately arises, who is saying I'm nothing?
See.
I'm not there. If you say I'm not there, who is saying I'm not there? Clearly it is not. A lot of confusion seems to be here because of the use of the word vastu.
Yeah.
Vastu actually comes from the vas dhatu. Vas dhatu has several meanings. In the Napunsakalinga, it means a thing, a matter. In fact, it also means the main plot of a story or a play, also called vastu. In the feminine form, it is called dawn. It means dawn. It means early morning. That's also called vastu. So the word we use vastu as the truth. That's why in Tamil, we often say vastavam, meaning that which is true. Correct? The word is vastavam, it comes from vastu only. That which is true. That's the context here in this discussion. So that confusion is beginning to creep in for the use of the word vastu.
So far, the contentions raised were against one being Brahman. Now, the very existence of Brahman is questioned. We ask, how can you say there is no such vastu? There is no vastu other than Brahman. Therefore, we call it aparichinna vastu. Every padartha that is there, that is here, is that vastu alone because there is karana karya sambandha between the effect, the jagat, and the cause Brahman. Karana karya sambandha is proclaimed by Shruti in Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma Tasmad va etasmat atmanaha
एतस्मात् आत्मना
akasha
आकाशसम्भूतः
sambhutaha akashat vayuhu
वायुः etc.
ityadi. From that Brahman alone, everything has come. Therefore, Brahmanaha anantyam anantyam parichinnatvam. This Shruti has not been, that Shruti has not been studied properly.
Sorry. Ananyatyam.
Anant,
From that
anantyam.
Brahman alone, everything has come. Therefore, Brahmanaha ananyatyam. Anantyam.
Anantyam.
Anantyam. Anantadita. Endless. Anantyam. Endlessness. Take
Yeah.
it.
The Purva Pakshi does not agree. He says the Shruti does not say that everything is Brahman. It only says that from Brahman, which is Satyam Gnanam Anantam, Ananta Kalyana Guna Vishishtam. From that Brahman, this Jagat has come. That is all. It only says Tasmat Atmanaha Akasha Sambhutaha. It never says this Akasha is that Atma. It doesn't say that at all. It only points out that it is Sarvasya Karanam. This Jagat is Karya. Brahman is the Nimitta Karanam. He is Narayana and he is Sarva Kalyana Guna Sampannaha. Ananta means Ananta Kalyana Guna Sampannam. Anantam does not mean that he is everywhere, etc. And to call yourself Ananta is blasphemous. How are you Ananta? Ananta Kalyana Guna Sampanna Brahma is called Narayana. There is no such thing as Aparichinnam. He is other than the Jagat. Jagat is other than him. This Jagat is Karya. He is Sarvasya Karanam. Therefore, Desha, Kala, Akasha, Ityadi are independent objects. I think this is a Advaita argument, Advaita Purvapakshi. We experience them as they are. One is different from the other. We do not see Brahman hanging out there. And your pot clay example is too simplistic. Bapre. Just because I see clay in the pot does not mean I see Brahman in everything. Very good argument, Swamiji. I do not see Brahman at all. I only see Desha, Kala, etc. Within that alone, there are certain things like pot which enjoy certain Ananyatvam. The Ananyatvam that you talk of, that nothing is independent of Brahman, that I do not see. Like pot being seen as clay, I do not see the Jagat being seen as Brahman. For you, so come and tell me that Brahman that you see is the one that is everywhere. If you see Brahman in every object, like you see clay in every pot, then please point out that common thing without which these objects are not there and say that is Brahman. But there is no such thing at all. Otherwise, we would see Brahman. We do not see anything like that at all. We see Desha, Kala, etc. Therefore, how can I be that Brahman? When Aparichinna Brahman itself is not there, then how are you equating that to what we see? So, how can I be that Brahman? Objects exist independently. I am the Vishayi, they are Vishayaha. Therefore, how can there be Aparichinna Brahma, subject object division being very real? In order to prove Atma is Aparichinna Atma, you have to prove Aparichinnam Brahma. The Advaitam that there is no second thing at all, you have to prove. Unless you prove that there is no Aparichinnatvam, Anantyam cannot be proved in any other way. This question is addressed here in this verse. Anantyam is Advayatvam. Anantyam is proved here. Nahi bhana rute satvam narte bhanam chito chitaha चित्सम्बन्धोऽपि नाध्यासाद् ऋते तानहमद्वयः.
Tena
The
aham
answer to the question.
advaya. Tena aham advaya.
Yeah, Tenaham Advayah. I think Divyansh has raised his hand.
I'm sorry?
Swami, Divyansh has some query, I think.
Yes, Divyansh.
So, Swamiji, this last part that we discussed, that Brahman, from that Brahman, this Jagat has come. But Brahman is gone. So, is that the causality parichinnam that we.
No. Okay, look at it this way. When we've been using the gold and gold ornament examples, gold is the karanam and gold ornaments of all types, different shapes, sizes, names, and utilities are nothing but gold. Correct? Cause and effect. Cause is gold, this thing is effect. Now, there are other examples of the cause which undergoes change. Here, gold really doesn't undergo any much change in the property. It just undergoes change in shape and size, etc. But there are other examples where the cause undergoes example. In both cases, it is cause, karanam. His contention apparently is that Shastra quotes this saying, from that Brahman came Akasha, and from that Akasha came Vayu, etc., etc. So he's saying, so Akasha, Brahman is one vastu, Atma is one vastu, and from that came all these other vastus, each are separate from the Brahman. Whereas what we've been trying to establish is that the karyam is never separate from the upadhana karanam.
Vivarta.
Vivarta upadhana karanam. So his argument is based on the same sentence from the Shastra, Etasmat Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha, and then all the others that follow. So his contention is that therefore you cannot prove Advayam. That is separate object, this is separate object. That's Anand.
Swamiji, in the previous page number 84, almost in the middle of the page, where Purva Pakshi says, just because I see clay in the pot does not mean I see Brahman in everything. I do not see Brahman at all. I only see Desha, Kala, etc. within that alone, there are certain things like pot which enjoy a certain ananyatvam. What does that like mean, Swamiji? Like things like pot which enjoy a certain ananyatvam.
Oh, okay. He is trying to establish that there is everything in this space-time continuum. Within the space-time continuum, there are, we are establishing, for example, that pot is non-separate from clay, gold is non-separate from, gold ornaments are non-separate from gold, etc. That kind of ananyatvam is there within the space-time continuum. But this whole thing is individual. Gold is separate, clay is separate, time is separate, space is separate. There's this whole ecosystem here. And they're all separate from Brahman according to his argument.
Okay, Swamiji. Yeah.
Yes, Divyansh.
So, Swamiji, this thing, like in the beginning, we discussed that aparichinna vastu, it is not limited by time, space, causality, or object. So,
You're
by
still stuck on causality.
no, I'm just like clarifying. The causality means that the parinami karanam, ki cause disappears and then karyam remains only.
Any karanam, see, eventually we don't accept even karana karyam.
Yes.
There is no karana karyam at all. But to begin with, we talk about any karanam and any karyam, and then eventually we'll negate the karana karyam also.
Okay,
So it
so
doesn't matter what kind of causality. Causality really is avidya. There is no cause and effect at all. But for purposes of our understanding, and because we experience cause effect every day in our lives, it's a good argument to start the process.
okay, so like Brahman, there is no cause for Brahman, and Brahman is not a cause for anything else.
Absolutely no.
Okay,
There is nothing else. How can it be cause for anything?
okay.
When the Jagat is Mithya, where is the question of Jagat being there at all? So it's only Brahman which is there.
Yeah.
Nahi bhanad rite sattvam. The word rite is an avyaya which goes along with Panchami Vibhakti. Therefore, bhanat rite. Rite means without. So, bhanat rite means without prakasha. Bhanat rite sattvam na asti. Sattvam means an existence. When you say Akasha asti, Akasha must enjoy prakashamanatvam. Bhanam is prakashamanatvam. It should be able to reveal itself. Only then is its existence known to me. This prakashamanatvam must be there for sattvam. Otherwise, how can it reveal its existence? It has to reveal itself to me. Therefore, prakashamanatvam is astitvam. Asti, when you say, it implies bhati. Gataha asti means gataha bhati. Why? Because when you say asti, unless it comes to light, bhati. Because you cannot say asti unless it comes to light, bhati. Why do you say shasha vishanaha? The rabbit's horn na asti, because na bhati. Therefore, yad asti tad bhati. That prakashamanatvam must be there. Means it should come to light. This is a situation. Therefore, you can never say asti is unless it is bhati, unless it reveals itself.
This is where we begin. In the beginning, we were talking about the rabbit's horn is not knowable, neither in the past, nor in the present, nor in the future. Neither by me, neither by the other rabbits or this own rabbit, by nobody. Because it is not knowable, we argue that it is therefore non-existent. If it is existent, it has to be knowable by someone sometime.
In future, it's possible, na Swamiji. Future, some rabbit gets genetically modified and it appears. Then future, it may be visible.
Yeah, then it exists. Then it exists. But knowing what we know today, or even don't know today, it is non-existent because it is not been known in the past. It will not be known in the future unless, like you said, somebody comes genetically modified rabbit. Then I will have to say genetically modified rabbit's horn.
Not, not the Brahman created one.
But I will have to give it another name. G rabbit horn. That's the kind of argument we're having. Yeah.
The problem is, you say Jagat asti, Akasha asti, Vayu asti, but Jagat, Akasha, Vayu, none of them nor any other object can reveal itself its existence to me. Therefore, here another step is needed. The first step is that anything asti should be bhati. Prakashadmanatvam must be there. Then achitaha drishyasya. Achita, that which is achit, na chit, achit. Tasya achit jadasya vishayasya. Achitaha, okay, sorry. Tasya achitaha jadasya vishwasya chitaha rute na bhanam. Without chit, achit does not come to light. Prakashamanatvam is possible for a ghata only when it has sambandha with chit, like a tapta ayaha pinda, which comes to light because of Agni sambandha. Which is this one, Swamiji? Tapta ayaha pinda?
Hot iron ball.
Okay. Ayaha pinda is an iron ball which has no light of its own. If it has to reveal its existence to my eyes in pitch dark, it should be bathed in light. Either it should reflect light or it should have a light drawn from some other source, because it itself has no light. If the iron ball is heated, if there is Agni Sambandha, then it becomes bright because it takes on the brightness of Agni, the fire. Therefore, Tapta Ayaha Pinda Swayam Bhati Iva. But then
the Iva is so important.
Yeah, I know, that's why I stressed Iva. But then this is purely an imagery for visual perception. The Tapta Ayaha Pinda is available for my visual perception. Without any other light, it can reveal itself to me, to my eyes, because it enjoys light. It has light. The light it emits is the light borrowed from another source, because the Ayaha Pinda is opaque by itself. An opaque object does not have that Prakashabhanatvam by itself. Therefore, it has to borrow light from something else, and only then it becomes bhati, available for visual perception. Similarly, an object that has to reveal itself to be an object has to come to light to prove its existence. To come to light, it has to have light, the light of consciousness.
Come to light is not a literal light.
I know, it is that revealing thing, knowing.
Yeah.
It has to borrow the light of consciousness. If it has to borrow light of consciousness, then between the light of consciousness and the object, there should be a sambandha. Sambandham vina na bhati. It cannot come to light. When you say gataha bhati, what does it mean? Gataha bhati, gataha asti means there is pot consciousness. That is the meaning. Gata sambit, pata sambit, gataha spurati, pataha spurati. When you say the gata, pata enjoy that consciousness. There is pot consciousness, there is clock consciousness. With reference to gataha, pataha, ityadi, any object, when you say tad bhati, that object does not have a light of its own. Because that object is lighted up, but it does not light up anything. It only becomes an object of consciousness. The ghata does not have drashtratvam. and is jada because it does not have the capacity to light up another thing, to know anything else. That ghata, which does not enjoy drashtratvam, comes to light now because there is pot consciousness. Therefore, pot bhati. Bhati you must understand properly. When you say pot asti, pot bhati, then is it swayam bhati or anubhati? If you say anubhati, then there is a sambandha between the pot and consciousness. What kind of sambandha can you establish? Between consciousness and the pot, the object which is jada, according to you, sambandha asti. And according to me, also sambandha asti. Gatha bhati, but swayam na bhati. It shines being connected to consciousness. Therefore, pot consciousness alone is bhati. It is not pot bhati. Pot consciousness bhati. Only then you can say bhati. Therefore, that the prakashamanatvam for the object is gained because of the chaitanya. Swamiji, here it's okay for those which are not self-revealing. Okay, this borrowing consciousness, borrowing bhatiness, or borrowing appearanceness, it is for the iron ball or for which is not self-revealing, like the sun or doesn't have. It is possible. But what about
sun
those?
is not self-revealing. Sun is not self-revealing.
Oh, okay. Again, it is consciousness. I should not take the
Everything is
literal
only,
light.
yeah. That is also anubhati only.
Anubhati only.
That
Yeah.
is that. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra
Chandra
taraka.
tarakaha. Yeah.
Nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi. Tameva bhantam anubhati
Bhati
sarvam.
sarvam.
Yes, Divyansh.
Swamiji, what is the meaning of Anubhati?
It doesn't shine by itself. It shines because something else is there. Anubhati.
Borrowed.
Borrowed shining, borrowed revelation.
Okay.
Anu usually means following. It follows that and you get the same. Yeah.
So between the pot and the Chaitanya, there is a connection. So what kind of sambandha connection can we imagine? Samyoga is not possible. Samyoga is possible between two avayavis. And Chaitanya has no avayavas parts. Therefore, samyoga is not possible. Between the Chaitanya and the Ghata, what kind of samyoga is possible? Samyoga sambandha is not possible. Karana Karya sambandha also is not there. Consciousness has not created the pot. So there is no Karana Karya sambandha. This consciousness is Chetanam. That pot is Achetanam. Where is the question of Karana Karya sambandha? Then
Swamiji?
Tadatmyam.
Yeah.
Swamiji, can you explain once the Avayavi Sambandha and Samyoga Sambandha, Swamiji?
So we will not go into that. There are, I told you, in Tarka Shastra, there are different types of sambandha are explained. It's Tarka Shastra argument only. Let me see. I remember an example that Swami Paramarthanda had given between the dress you wear and you. What is the sambandha? That's a temporary sambandha. The relationship which is you put on that dress and you remove the dress. That kind of samyoga.
Physical connection, probably. Samyoga means physical connection.
In the connection?
Physical connection. Physically, they're joined together.
They have to be physical connection. And then there is the other one he's mentioned here.
Avayavas.
Where is the other one he mentioned? Karanakarya sambandha. That is also not there.
Before that, Swamiji, Avayavi.
No, avayava is samyoga. Some part, physically, like you say, some part must be connected in some way to the other.
If it is having parts only, then we can.
Only then that kind of sambandha.
Only then that connection is possible between the two parts.
Okay.
Like you glue it.
Another one also called samavaya. Samavaya has to do with the pot and potness. Let's not take that. It's not a very good example. Let's say the grass and greenness is samavaya. Like that, they have many, 4 or 5 different types of sambandha. But we use also many other different types of sambandha. Vishaya sambandha, knower known sambandha, those kind of sambandha. Some relationship between two objects. And none of those will fit when you try to find the sambandha between consciousness and anything in the Jagat. Whether tangible or intangible, you will not find a connection. None of those will be able to describe this connection.
Because like relationship require two things.
Yeah. Dvaita will come into picture when two things come into picture.
And even tadatmyam, something is born of something else, that also is not possible. Yeah.
Then tadatmyam also is not possible because becoming the other you, one becoming the other you cannot think of. Consciousness becoming a pot is not possible. Consciousness cannot be the cause for the pot, and consciousness also cannot have some kind of coexistence with the pot. In fact, when we say gataha bhati, we mean pot consciousness is. Therefore, we can only say that the pot is an object of consciousness. An object of consciousness means that the Mula Sambandha of the subject object has to be established. For that, we have to establish the subject, only then can there be an object. But what is the connection between the subject and consciousness? Tell me. We have come back to the same problem between the subject, the Ahankara, the Paramatma, Pramata, sorry. Between the subject, the Ahankara, the Pramata, and the consciousness, what is the connection? Same problem. Samyoga, etc. are not possible. So, what is the connection? We have to say the sambandha is only adhyasika sambandha, a sambandha which is purely born of adhyasa. Adhyasa means it is as though pramatritvam, mithya pramatritvam, adhyasika sambandhat, mithya sambandhat alone you achieve pramatritvam. Therefore, pramatritvam is not the property of Chaitanya. The Vishayi is possible only when the Mula Sambandha, the primary Sambandha between the Chaitanya and the Vishayi, between the consciousness and the object is established.
And the subject. Consciousness and the subject is established. There is subject-object relationship within the Jagat. And the argument is that object consciousness, instead of directly saying there's no connection with consciousness, you say no, there is a pramata. Because consciousness is not a pramata. Consciousness is, period. Chaitanya, Sakshi. But between the object and the one who object is the prameya, what is to be known, and the pramata, the knower, there is a pramata-prameya relationship. To establish any kind of relationship between consciousness and the object, you have to establish a relation between consciousness and the subject.
The Vishayi is possible only when the Mula Sambandha, the primary Sambandha between the Chaitanya and the Vishayi, between the consciousness and the subject is established. When that is established, then only we can talk of Vishayi, Vishaya Sambandha, etc. The Vishaya Bedha is based upon the Vishayi, but the Vishayi itself is not the dharma of Chaitanya Atma, because the Vishayi is not there in deep sleep. The Vishayi is also Parinami. He undergoes all kinds of changes. And all the changes are also available for us to know.
Here, therefore, the Vishayi that you can think of as the Ahankara.
Oh,
then make it clearer to understand.
Okay. Therefore, Vishayitvam cannot be the dharma of the Atma. Thus, the Vishayi is not anything real, but is there due to Adhyasika Sambandha. It means the Chaitanya alone, without undergoing any change, has become the Pramata, Mayaya. Therefore, Mayaya, there is a Vishayi, as though Vishayi. Once the Vishayi is established, then there is a Vishayaha. If the Vishayi is Adhyastha, then the Vishaya is also Adhyastha. And upon the same Adhisthana, because the Vishayi and Vishaya constitute a Dhyad. What is Dhyad, Swamiji? Duality.
The two things.
Okay.
The Bandhva. That's right.
Dvandvas. Yeah. The Vishayi, the Pramata, and the Vishayi, the Prameya, both are Adhyastha upon the same Chaitanya. Therefore, when you say Gataha Bhati, consciousness that inheres in that pot, Bhati shines for the pot to shine, for the pot to come to light. The consciousness obtaining in the Prameya Vishaya, that consciousness is the Adhisthana for the pot. Therefore, the pot itself is Adhyastha upon the Satchidatma.
So far, what he is trying to establish is that there is only one Atma.
Enveloping, like Jayaji said last class, enveloping, it reveals.
Yeah, in fact, he was describing to me some model that he's understood. You can share it with them also. You talk about it now if you want to.
Which one, Swamiji? The self and love, is it?
No. The other one you're talking to me yesterday. How did you describe that? About knowing. What was that? You come up with a. I don't quite remember. We were discussing something like that yesterday when you said you'd recognize something. Not the self and love. That also is an interesting analysis. But one more idea you had come up with. Okay.
Before.
You remember, I remember, I'll tell you. Then you can look at that.
Why Adhyastha? Because if you look into the pot, it is Mithya.
Before we go into why Adhyastha, do you want to, is there anybody else who wants to make any comment on what you read so far? Like I said, it's a bit of an argument which one has to assimilate.
It's a nice tarka, Swami.
Yeah, it is. It's all. See, this is the beauty of Advaita. It is logical, but logic cannot establish this. And that also must be very clear.
Yes,
it's logical, and that's why I love that phrase. Shastra Anukula Tarka. Without the Shastra, the Tarka will make no sense.
Yeah.
You can negate it very easily. That's why these people, Nayayikas, all their arguments are based on certain assumptions. And you can question the assumptions themselves. Therefore, they will not stand any ground. Logic itself is, in fact, a funny thing. You can come up with all kinds of. The other day, who was talking to me about this? You can come up with all kinds of negation of logic. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Jayaji. I'll wait.
No, I was just going to comment upon that Adhyastha. So the crux of all this is when we say I am, right? I is actually a result of knowing. It is a thought process, the aham vritti, right? Whereas the am, which is existence, that is without a vritti. So the moment I comes, that is already knowing only. That is a result of knowing. And knowing is because of elimination by consciousness, right? Without the chit being there is no knowing possible.
Correct. In fact, we call Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma that jnanam actually is consciousness. Without that, there's no jnanam.
But that jnanam happens in my ahankara only, na Swamiji. That jnanam also has to happen somewhere.
Oh, no. Ahankara happens in consciousness. Don't say it happens in ahankara.
You're confusing, because the jnanam that happens in ahankara is the jnanam which is opposed to ajnanam.
Ajna.
Yeah, jnanam. Yeah. That way it is better.
Jnanam which you're talking about as the nature of I is neither of these. It is what becomes the adhisthana for both jnanam and ajnanam.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is precisely why I took that I am and explained that I is actually knowing.
Knowing.
Without knowing, you cannot say I. But, without that knowing process, what is evident is only existence, Sat.
And that is the argument they're giving, that I, which is ahankara, between that and consciousness, what is the connection? What is sambandha? That sambandha is a adhyaropa sambandha.
Adhyasa sambandha.
So that is a superimposition on Atma.
Atma.
Ahankara is equal to superimposition
So Atma is the
on
adhisthana
Atma.
basically. Atma is the adhisthana for the entire Jagat, or whatever you call it.
You had a point to make, Shobha?
Oh, I just wanted to say that this is also where the expression throwing light on a subject comes from, sort of.
Absolutely. In fact, we've been reading in the Upanishad, Kathopanishad also, if you remember the current verse that we're doing. I don't know how many of you remember the verse that we're doing, but there also we're saying, Hata Shuchi Shuchishat, that sun. Han Dhatu has both meanings. Han Dhatu also has a meaning to destroy, but Han Dhatu also has a meaning of moving. Gati. Therefore, here, Han refers to the sun which moves in the sky. It also refers to the sun which is the destroyer of ignorance. Which throws light upon ignorance and destroys it. Therefore, Hanti.
Hananakriya. Shall I go ahead?
If there are few things when people are not clear what we're talking about, because we're referring to some other Upanishad, because maybe you're not in that class, don't worry too much.
Why Adhyastha? Because if you look into the pot, it is mithya. When you say the pot is, you will find every small little atom has no existence apart from the Chaitanya. When examined, any existence attributed to even an atom disappears, really speaking. Yad mithya tad vicharam na sahate.
That yad mithya tad vicharam na sahate is a very famous sentence. That which is mithya cannot stand deep thinking. It will disappear, it will disintegrate. Any mithya. And
therefore,
all that we define as mithya, if you take it down step by step, there's nothing.
It's a nice sentence, Swamiji. Yad mithya tad vicharam na sahate. It cannot stand water. Vicharam will not get you anywhere. Therefore, the whole existence of the pot, the easiness of the pot, is the consciousness of the pot. The easiness and consciousness are identical. In this alone, there is gataha asti bhati. Asti is the appropriation of the sat. Bhati is appropriation of chit, consciousness. Therefore, when we say gataha asti bhati, sat chit is asti bhati. Similarly, pataha asti bhati, akashaha asti bhati, vayuhu asti bhati, agniha asti bhati. Then apaha, then prithvi, then vrikshaha, then any pashuhu. Every one of them is what? Asti bhati. Everything asti bhati. Therefore, asti bhati is in every vritti. It means asti bhati is the adhisthana and the nama rupa is adhyastha. Now, please tell me how many objects are there? One is vastu, asti bhati. The other one is what? When asti bhati is one vastu, then afterwards, anything that you say is, it is the same asti. It goes and joins the vastu. Therefore, anything you say is that asti. Anything you say bhati is that bhati. So, atmanaha bhanam alone. Ghatasya bhanam. Ghataha vrittehe bhanam. Vishayinaha bhanam cha. The Vishayi, that fellow is also what? He is also the same bhanam, because the Vishayi is adhyastha, mithya in other words.
Let's stop here today and continue in the next class. Might be worth rereading this bit if it's not very clear. Divyansh, if something quick we can finish, otherwise we'll take it up next class.
Just one thing, that only because there is adhyasa sambandha that we say that Brahman is like Atma is different order of reality, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om
Om
Shanti
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 Harihi
Hari
Om Shri
Shri
Gurubhyo
Guru
Namaha
Hari
Harihi Om
Om Swami.